And welcome to another edition of New Sports Outlaws podcast. As always, I'm Neil and this is Dan. And Dan, we had a lot to talk about already, and then more news broke yesterday. Sometimes we do these podcasts, we do it once a week, and sometimes there's really nothing new, and we're just checking in on the sports, giving you scores. And then there's weeks where there's a lot that has happened, and the lot that has happened centers around the basketball world. But before we get to that, how are you doing today?
Doing good, like you said. I mean, I thought we were going to come in, talk about Nick's demise, Cat being a slow foot, heavy guy. I mean, we're going to talk about that, but obviously we're splitting that up between Tom Thibodeau getting fired within 3 days of losing a conference final. And we got some Yankees and Mets to talk about. Yankees had the Dodgers. Mets are now playing the Dodgers. So we got a little bit to talk about. Let's get started, wherever you want to start.
So I fist pumped, and that wasn't because of what you said with Thibodeau getting fired. That was because the Yankees made a nice play in the field, although right now they're down
Yeah,
3-0
3-0 Guardians. Oh, yeah.
to the former Indians. Knicks. I guess let's go chronologically
Do
here.
you want me to do
Let's go
it?
chronologically. So I went away for a couple of days. Took my daughter to Disney for a couple of days. Uh, on the way to Orlando, got delayed a bunch, but it made for a really good situation. Had a drunk guy next to me, uh, and he's only become a follower of ours. But he's next to me drinking his own self-made margaritas in his tumbler, and I'm trying to get my Wi-Fi working, but he had a Knicks shirt on. We started talking. He goes, "Don't buy your Wi-Fi. There's nobody sitting in between us. Let me prop it up." So good guy. He props it up. And because the flight got delayed 4 hours, we literally watched the whole game in the air. We didn't take off until first quarter was a couple minutes in, and we landed pretty much right when the game was ending. It was perfectly timed. It was a fun game to watch. Game five, that is.
Fine.
And it was a nice win. It made me think for a second. Now I know I told you I thought it was over, but it made me think for a second. Maybe there's some hope here.
Sure.
And then smacked to reality in game six. First half, it kind of stayed with them, but didn't really ever feel like the Knicks showed anything in that game. And then the second half, the bottom just fell out. I couldn't watch it live because, of course, that plane didn't have Wi-Fi. But when I got home, I watched the whole game, and it was just pretty pathetic. Let's talk about the game before we get to anything else. What'd you think? The game.
Yeah, game six. Considering how Brunson and Cat really hadn't asserted their or were offensively effective really in the first half, and they were only down by 4, I believe, at halftime. I thought, all right, I mean, it's time for third quarter. Maybe it'll be close, and then Brunson would kind of do his thing and take over, or even Cat would have a good beginning of the quarter while Brunson was on the bench. That's kind of what they've been doing lately. Um, and Indiana just really ran them out of the building in the third quarter. It wasn't, I know it was kind of close. It was like 10-12. They were still in it, but like you said, it was one of the things where they were in it, but it really didn't have that feel. Like sometimes they would cut it to 9 or 10, but then it would get back up to 15 or 16. And Indiana just had a game plan, and they were all over the place. It was definitely a huge difference between game 5 and game 6, in which game 5, where the Knicks kind of smacked them up at the Garden. And then game 6, it was as if it was game 7 for the Pacers, because I think they knew that all the momentum would have been with the Knicks going to the Garden. I mean, I think everyone would have kind of thought, even though they did win game 7 last year at the Garden, I think everyone would have thought that being down 3-1, going to a game 7, it probably wasn't the best of chances, and that their best chance was game 6. But the Pacers showed me a lot. I mean, I've been dead wrong on the Knicks in every series, pretty much, that they have been. I mean, I know I picked the Knicks against Detroit, but I think I picked Knicks in 7. I thought Boston would destroy the Knicks. It really kind of went the other way around. And I thought the Knicks would destroy the Pacers. And it really went the other way around. And I mean, I've been kind of all wrong about it. But the Pacers were just a really good matchup for the way that they play basketball, the way the Knicks play basketball. And they took advantage of it. And, all the props to the Pacers.
Yeah, I mean they're a team that can really frustrate the next best player in Brunson. They have a lot of bodies that are pesky. I was just talking today at physical therapy with the trainer and another patient, and it felt like from a coaching standpoint, we run pick and roll. Their guys stick with Brunson like glue and pester him, and they get right over the pick. When they run pick and roll, our guys, whether it's Cat, whether it's McHale, whether it's OG, the only one besides Mitchell, really, felt like there was several feet of space for open jumpers or several feet of space to get some momentum to take the Nick to the hole and then break down the defense and kick it out for an open three. It seemed like the Knicks
Um,
could.
yeah, what I thought the Pacers did really well, and I guess this is on Carlisle for the coaching part of it. They did a really good job at creating matchups that were favorable to them, like on the when they were on offense. Like I remember saying at the beginning of the series, all right, OG's not pretty much going to lock up Pascal Siakam. I came in the series thinking that, and boy was I wrong. I mean, OG. I mean, they would do a lot of switches and off-ball screens where Siakam would all of a sudden end up on Josh Hart or Deuce McBride or Jalen Brunson. And there was a few times on OG, but just the way he plays, he kind of dominated that series, which was a total surprise for me, considering of OG and the defenders that they have on the wing. I expected Halliburton to kind of do what he did. He had a really good series, but they did a really good job of going after Brunson when he was in foul trouble. They did a good job of going after Cat. I thought their game plan was just really, really good. And I give all the props for Indiana on that one.
Yeah. So that's kind of like where I was going to transition to, and you made the point that I was going to bring up next was he got out coached. Thibodeau got out coached. I did not think we would be talking about what we're going to be talking about next. I figured we'd be talking about what do the Knicks do next? Can they find a trade partner for Cat? Do they even entertain trading Bridges? Do they trade Mitchell after talking about it for years? So those are the things I thought we'd be talking about right now. But what we're going to pivot to, especially since you and I both agree that Thibodeau got coached. Well, getting out coached has led to his outright dismissal. Um, Even though Brunson laughed at the question after the game, that is Thibs the right coach for this team? And Thibodeau is no more the Knicks coach. Uh, were you shocked? I was shocked. I didn't think making it to these. I thought once he made it to these conference final, that's it. He was good. Now, if he got swept by Boston, I could have seen them getting rid of him, but Boston was a tough matchup. Beating Boston, I was like, oh my God, they beat Boston. There's no way he's going anywhere. And he's gone.
Yeah, I remember texting you, and obviously I sent you the Bleacher Report, of course. So I'm sure you got a million texts and a million notifications. And I was shocked at first, because it came literally. They were out Saturday night, and he was just fired on Tuesday. Like it was insane, and it kind of gives me the idea that this was sort of the plan all along, a little bit, just to kind of like they knew like almost like no matter what, I guess outside of the finals, I guess, or outside of winning the championship, that most likely their decision was going to be to let him go. It seems like. I mean, that's a really quick decision to make on something like that, considering that Brunson was at that press conference and he pretty much said that Tibbs is my guy. Um, and what a lot of sports radio did over the past couple of days is kind of look at all the moments where, his players don't like him or something like that. Like whether it's McHale that was complaining about the minutes randomly in the middle of the season this year, or I think Cat ended up saying something, that kind of thing. And I was kind of thinking about it, and I'm not completely against it. I know this was the biggest, the furthest they've been in 25 years, that kind of thing. And there were a lot of flaws in the series. I mean, considering the whole bench thing where he never plays his bench, and then randomly in game five, he had to play his bench, and they worked. And then, oh no, game three. Game three is when he really had to play. Was it a game three or game three?
It
And
was
that comeback when they were down by 20,
both.
they were getting.
It was both. I want to say in game five,
Well,
they were
game three is when it started. Game three is when it started, where they were down by 20. Brunson was in foul trouble. Cat was in foul trouble. He had to put the subs in, and like, oh my god, it worked. It worked. It went great or whatever. It's like, so I think he might have been a little confused a little bit because then he did it a couple more times, and it really didn't. McBride was good, but it wasn't to the effect that it had in game three, and it was a lot of different things that you never normally see out of Thibs, and then obviously game six, it wasn't whatever. Um, but I think what happened is, I'm just going to throw a guess out there that they had a meeting with him, probably, I guess, on Monday, whatever it was, and they discussed what changes, I guess, they want to see out of him or whatever. And maybe he just said no, or maybe he wanted about Cat. I think a lot of this revolves around Cat. And whatever, he just kind of, maybe he said he's set in his ways, kind of thing. And they said, all right, if you're set in your ways, see you later. We're going on to the next one, because I mean, they just gave us a contract extension before the season started. So I mean, it's not like, I mean, they had one of the best years. They had 51 wins. They beat the defending champions. They went to the conference finals. Yes, they maybe should have won against the Pacers, but you made the conference finals, and I think it's still a successful season, even though you probably should have been to the finals. But it was tough, but it's one of those things. Now the next guy they hire better be the guy to make a chance, or it's just they're gonna kill Dolan, kill Leon Rose for the rest of the time.
yeah. So anybody who's over middle school aged that is a Knick fan, had I think not anybody, most people who are that age, my age, older, a little younger, have lived through some really lean Knicks years. I was old enough to remember both runs to the finals in '94 and '99, but to think that we have a coach now who had 250 win seasons back plus wins back to back, bring us to the Eastern Conference Final for the first time in '99. To say he's gone, listen, I'm on the record of saying I wouldn't have gotten rid of him. I think the Knicks decided that they didn't think they could ever get to the next level with Thibs as their coach. The only problem with that is the names we're hearing, you know, none of, most of the names we're hearing that are favorites for the position, like the guy Johnny, what's his name? That's literally what they were nicknaming him on WFAN today. He's never coached a day in his life. I don't care that he's liked by the players. He was here for 3 years with Thibs, or he's a highly regarded assistant that was a finalist for the Phoenix job. Is that going to matter? We're now trusting him to be the next Tyrone Lue or Steve Kerr. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, sometimes I say this in my own school when they're going from one principal to the next or one superintendent to the next. I go, be careful what you wish for. Sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Yeah, and I think, just to wrap it up on my side, I mean, the one thing that Knicks fans are gonna, they this can't come out, and no matter if it's a rumor or fake or whatever, and I think this would destroy the Knicks, actually, is that if Rick Brunson, Jalen's dad, had any input on this, because you're gonna assume that whoever the coach is, Rick Brunson has to have a job, right? I mean, the head coach usually gets to choose his staff. I think it's because of Jalen, Rick Brunson has a seat on that staff, no matter who the coach is, or has to. And I'm not. That's why I don't think it's going to be any of these bigger guys that you're hearing. That, I mean, you heard of them, but we haven't really heard any news on them. Like the Jay Wrights, the Danny Hurley's already been out on it. The
Mark
even
Malone.
like Spolstra, even like they were talking about trade. I heard like a Bleacher Report saying Jay Kidd, and he's on the Mavs, and then he got Spolstra, and then all the other, like, what are we talking about? That's why I think the Johnny Bryant one is probably going to happen because they were on the staff together. I believe it was 2 years ago or last year, whenever it was. And I think, and no matter what, Rick Brunson has to be on the staff. And I think that's kind of the coach that is going to be doing that.
I don't know if you listen, but there's a caller, Ozzy, from I can't remember where Ozzy's from, and he does like a whole shtick, and he goes after Tommy, and he like makes fun of his and jokes around with Tommy, and he actually said that he thinks it's gonna be Johnny Bryan because he can't make any demands. It's his first job. He was there 3 years ago. He'll come in with the agreement that he'll leave the rest of the coaching staff the same. So then Rick Brunson basically is the puppet master, and Rick Brunson is basically coaching that team. He is the probably be assistant to the head coach, and he'll basically run the team because this young whippersnapper has no experience.
I remember that whole thing with Dante DiVincenzo last year. There was a little thing with the thing where he like yelled on the sideline after a free throw. Like, I don't know, I think we were saying he was yelling at his dad, Brunson's dad, saying like, "This is what happens when they let you run the team," or something like that. Like, there was something that was out there 2 years ago. I want to say it was, I don't know, I forgot the game or
No,
whatever. I know they brought it up on the.
it was earlier this year because I think they were playing an exhibition game,
Was it a
and
pre? Was it this year when he was on Minnesota? It wasn't with the Knicks.
he
Okay.
was yelling at Brunson's father, and then he also yelled at Tibbs, "I can't close, huh, Tibbs?"
Well, yeah. So yeah. So I mean, DiVincenzo doesn't seem to be the one that would hold much back or lie about something like that. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. So I mean, we'll see. I think Johnny Bryan's got to be. I think he's almost a shoo-in. It seems like you don't just bring up Johnny Bryan out of nowhere. Like, where did he come from? I never heard of Johnny Bryan before. Like you said, Johnny who? Johnny Bryan before this year, whatever he was. I never heard of him. You probably did because you're the Knicks fan here, but I mean, he doesn't just come out of nowhere. I mean, he just this random assistant coach just doesn't happen.
No, the first time I heard his name was a couple of days ago. Like
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't know. I don't know every assistant on the Knicks staff. I knew Brunson's father was on the staff, but besides for that, uh, I'm not sure. But my last thing for the Knicks, and we'll have time to talk about this, especially during the summer, because we're not at football yet, and we'll start dominating football with fantasy football talk and what we're doing and what it's looking like and news coming out of camps and blah blah blah. But uh,
Mm-mm-mm.
lost my train of thought for a second.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but there it goes. Sorry about that. The Knicks. My last train of thought on the Knicks was we're gonna have time to talk about this, but what the Knicks do? What can they do player personnel wise? They don't have many picks to trade. The guys they have that they want to get rid of, they probably don't want to get rid of. Mitchell Robinson. I think if you're gonna keep Cat, the best way to get the best out of Mitchell is having a five next to Cat who can play. Like you said, Cat looked decent with Gobert next to him. We didn't get to see much of Cat with Mitchell because Mitchell wasn't healthy until the playoffs this year. So maybe that's a course of action. Yeah, Mitchell might fetch a decent penny on the trade market, but do the Knicks look better with Mitchell starting next to Cat? Um, would they entertain calls on Bridges? They gave up 5 picks, but if they got deeper and got better pieces, I would at least listen. I'd love to keep Hart to anchor the second unit. Not that it's going to be a deal breaker, but he's not getting you much anyway. I'd love to keep Hart to anchor the second unit. He should be the sixth man, like I picked him in our predictions, and everyone all of a sudden now is like, "Oh, Hart would be a great sixth man." I picked him in the preseason, jerks. Uh, and obviously you don't want to trade Brunson.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the most valuable guy on your team to trade is Mitchell Robinson. I don't see Mikal Bridges giving you guys like two players. I don't. I really don't. He really. I mean, plus he's due for a contract extension at the end. All right, right now actually, I think he's contract eligible right this year, but he has 1 year left on the contract. I don't. He's not going to get. I really don't think he's going to get you much. I mean, I think Mitch is really the trade chip that may be out there. Not even Josh Hart because he's more of a utility gadget guy. He's a really good player, but he's more like that utility gadget guy that kind of does everything. But he's not like the guy kind of thing. You really don't have a lot, like you said, a lot of valuable trade chips, unless somehow. But I mean, you might have to give up assets to give up Cat. Cat's gonna be making $60 million in 2 years or whatever it is. 60 foot, slow foot, big guy doesn't look well, but yeah, we'll have a lot of free agency to talk. But from what we're hearing, it's going to be. Sham said there's going to be crazy free agency in July this year or the end of June, whenever that whole
Bunch of
start.
trades. They're already talking about Durant.
Yeah, they're talking about
Well, absolutely.
Durant. I'm sure Giannis is going to. I don't see any way Giannis goes back to the Bucks. They have
Man,
literally no chance to go anywhere, anytime. So we have plenty of time to talk about that. I don't. I'll use all of my Nets time during free agency, since that's kind of what we'll talk about. We have the draft in a few weeks. We can talk about the number 8 pick that we're talking about. But yeah, Knicks it was a lot easier to get rid of the coach than to get rid of Cat. I think this means they keep Cat. But and yeah, I think if they want to upgrade, it's either Mikal or Hart or Mitchell. One of them have to go.
yep. All right, so we kind of alluded. There's not really much to go on with football. Nothing's really happened in the last week. We still have no Aaron Rodgers news. He is officially going to the Pittsburgh Steelers or not. There's nothing really to talk about from the local teams. Really, the Jets have been like lock box this offseason with Aaron Glenn, which I guess is part of the plan. And when we had that rookie camp, there was a lot of talk about how the Giants rookies impressed, especially Scatabo. We'll talk about this in the future, but I was spinning my wheels a little bit with a Giant fan today. I really think to start the season, Tracy's in the lead, like a 60-40 split. But I absolutely believe by the end of the season, this kid takes over the lead role because he can do everything Tracy can do, just a little better. He's a much stronger runner. He can fetch just as good as Tracy out of the backfield. He can throw. So I'm excited to see him play for the Giants. Anything you want to add for football?
Not really. I know Pickens has been doing Cowboys OTAs, just Cowboys wise. I know there's changed his number a couple times. Not like that means anything. But yeah, we're not really not much. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers is nowhere to be found. I've seen a couple things. I know they put out there Shador Sanders throwing a couple nice passes in OTAs with no one rushing the passer, that kind of thing. But yeah, there's nothing really to report right now. I mean, like you said, end of July is we'll kind of get. I think we'll finally have Aaron Rodgers by the middle of July actually, because the training camps maybe by July 4th. You want to go over under July 4th? Where is he going to be?
Uh,
Is he
uh,
before or after July 4th? What do you think?
when are mandatory camps?
Uh, after middle July. I'll look it up really quick.
I I would say if I had to say a date, if you tell me that the camps are sometime in the middle of July, I'd say like the Monday after 4th of July, like after the 4th of July weekend, whatever that Monday is, whether that
The
Monday is like,
first practice July 24th
no, maybe a little later than.
For Pittsburgh.
I'll say
So
like let's say like 10 days before. So let's say like a July 10. I'll say July
sometime
10th.
give it a few days after. Maybe wait for all the NBA stuff, all the big news NBA stuff to happen, so he has like a nice little week for himself to put himself on TV and go on McAfee. I mean, has he still been on? Have you heard about him on McAfee at all? Has he even still been
I don't
doing
think
his thing
I don't think he's been
every
on, but
Tuesday, or
maybe
maybe
on the
take
off season he takes
maybe he's
his
taking a
time.
break with his personal issues or whatever he's got going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
but yeah,
Okay, so the last sport we'll talk about today uh, is baseball. Like
hockey. Oh, I thought you were talking about hockey. You
gosh,
want to go to the Stanley Cup playoffs? Or you got to
the
think
finals
right.
start
I think
tonight.
right now. I think we're talking right now.
Yeah, while we're talking, I might check in just to see the score, but I'm not going to stay very long.
Panthers,
Uh,
Oilers. Who you got?
Panthers.
Panthers. Okay.
Favorite buzz off.
I wouldn't know. Don't even ask me. Okay.
Of course, I love the state of Florida. Anyway, baseball. Yankees are on. Judge is
Baseball.
a little struggling a little bit, down to like 385. No, but
I think
I heard a segment with DiPietro and Rothenberg in the morning where Buster Olney was on, and Buster and Dave set a line of 370, and They and if Judge finishes over 370, Dave owes Buster lunch, and if it's under 370, Dave owes Buster lunch. Um, it, or the other way around. Sorry. But yeah, there's real talk about the fact that it's already June. He's flirting with 400. I don't think it'll happen. But if I were to have told you in March, Aaron Judge is going to hit 350 this year with 58 home runs, you'd poop your pants.
Yeah, and considering that, let's just say there's a day that he goes 1 for 3, that lowers his average. So like something 1 for 3 with a home run, well, whatever it is, that lowers his average. So if he goes 1 for 3 with a walk, that lowers his average, and it's just like, so yeah, no, it's gonna be impossible. Like I don't even think I think he'll even get lower than the 370 mark. I think we're probably looking more at the 340, 350, which does obviously mean he struggles for a little bit, obviously. But 340, 350 for a power hitter who's the American League home run champ record holder is pretty outstanding. And um, he showed up against the Dodgers. We played the Dodgers over the weekend, lost 2 out of 3. But he showed up in the series. He was the only one to show up in the series. I think he had 3 home runs in the series. So yeah, no, he's doing his thing. Yeah, you can't say anything bad. I mean, it's all Judge is all until October. He can bat 600 for all we care, and it doesn't matter until we get to October for him. But Yankees, they lost. I think they're still 5 up in the division. Tampa and Toronto, which we're really not worried about at all. So we're still comfortably up. What's up? Second best record. Detroit's still going. Detroit's got a good pitching staff. They're going to be all right. They'll be fine. They're the only ones that I would consider competition in the American League, and I'm sure Gleyber Torres would love nothing better than to just get back, if he ever stays healthy, to get back at us. And I definitely, obviously, Skubal is going to dominate us whenever he sees us. He's going to dominate. There is no doubt in my mind he's going 7, 8 innings, 12 strikeouts. He's going to dominate.
We, we,
It's just
we notoriously can't hit good lefties.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so whenever that happens, we're gonna get dominated. So poor Max Fried, it might have to be like a 0-0 game. I mean, but yeah, Yankees looking good for now. They had a run. It's a tough one. That Luke Weaver out, the hamstring injury, out 4 to 6 weeks at least, I guess, especially for pitchers with a hamstring injury. And obviously Devin Williams didn't help out the situation last night, where he almost blew the game last night. Gave up a run in the ninth. Did get the save, so obviously that's good. But Luke Weaver was having one of those historic seasons for us. He only had I think he only had given up like 1 run, like the whole season. I think that was actually to the Mets, I want to say, or even the series before the Mets. But yeah, Devin Williams is going to be there. Jazz Chisholm's back, which is good. He had a home run yesterday. Nice short porch. Cruz is back, the bullpen guy. Stanton's hitting off of whatever machine that's called, whatever name machine that's called. That whatever bat, you know what the hitting machine is. You know what I'm talking about.
Drugs?
That,
Heart
yeah,
attack?
yeah. But I think there's like a name for there's like a real expensive, more expensive thing for it. Whatever, I forget what it's called. But yeah, it's pretty much a batting machine. And yeah, no, we're still going. We have the former Indians Guardians now. We have the Sox over the weekend, so that'll
Yes.
be a nice big series against the Sox. Sunday Night Baseball, and yeah, we're firmly into June.
And I will end my segment about the Yankees saying the biggest surprise thus far is not Aaron Judge hitting 385 in June.
Schmitty,
It's
Schmitty.
Carlos Rondon. Looks
Ooh, whoa,
of a
whoa,
staff.
whoa. Carl, do you want to apologize to Carlos
I
Rodon?
want to give him a nickname. I want to name him the new Hefty Lefty.
Is it it's the beard? Yeah, it has to be the
Yes.
beard. Sorry, I know Devin Williams is gonna get flack for that if he looks like crap in New York, but I'm telling you, if it is anyone that has benefited from the beard, it is Carlos Rodon. You cannot convince anybody else otherwise. He is pitching fantastic. He had another, I think, no runs again or one run against Cleveland yesterday. It was fantastic.
And speaking of Cleveland, Schmidt just came out of the game. There's two men on, but 5 2/3. He settled down. He gave up those first 3 runs. And listen, at the beginning of the now, you didn't like how it started, but at the beginning of the game, before it started, if I said Clark Schmidt's going to pitch 5 2/3 or 6 innings and give up 3 runs, you say, sign. I'd sign for Schmidt giving up 3 runs a game. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
we should be able to score 4 or more runs a game most of the time.
and we are going to finish our podcast this week with the hottest team in Major League Baseball. That would be your New York Metropolitans, 8-2 in their last 10, fighting the Dodgers, losing in the last second last night, almost blowing it the night before. But they're hanging with the Dodgers. Give them credit. We won that one game, but the Dodgers really beat the crap out of us. They hit our pitching, and we love our. I love our pitching outside the Dodgers series. But the Mets, I think the Mets are for real. I think the Mets. I picked the Mets to make the playoffs. I don't think they'll win the division, but I did pick the Mets to make the playoffs. I think they are going to be a good team. I think that they will make a trade at the deadline that'll get them another impact bat. And the pitching lab is working, Daniel. It's working.
Oh God! Now you're on the Mets now. Oh my God! I don't want to hear about this. They just before the Dodgers. They played what, the Pirates and the Rockies. I don't want to. The Rockies. All right, come on now, the Rockies. You swept the Rockies. I mean, I think you, Rocco, and Ricky put a team together. I think we could go out there and beat the Rockies. They play the Rockies again after the Dodgers. I don't want to hear the 8-2. Great. The Dodgers aren't that great. The Yankees. I mean, yes, they killed the Yankees. They beat them 20-2 or whatever that score was. During the dot 10, you want to know what? We were begging to go after Tanner Scott in the offseason, in the trade deadline last year, and he looks like absolute garbage. I don't know. Tanner Scott has not looked good at all. And
A
the
lot of
Dodgers, they still,
a lot of deferred money.
yeah, the Dodgers are good, but they still got a lot of injuries. I think Mookie Betts has been out. They're okay. I don't think they're that wonderful yet. The Mets, I don't. I thought you were gonna bring up Soto's back. I don't want to hear it. Soto's not back. He played the Rockies.
I'm trying
I
to be
don't want what.
I'm trying to be positive.
No positive Rockies. He had a couple home runs. The Rockies. I don't want to hear. Oh, now his
Tomorrow,
whole thing is no biggie. I don't want to hear about no biggie. All right. I don't want to hear about no biggie. Guess what? You guys lost, and everything is no biggie now. That's going to be his thing. No biggie. Every single thing, every
no.
little tweet. No biggie. I'll lead us in
And
October.
I'm trying to go to school tomorrow and telling my Met fan teacher friends they can fast forward to 28-minute mark and hear me talking glowingly about the New York Mets.
You might want to snip the last 5-6 minutes and play it and send it to play it in class tomorrow for all your Met students or whatever. I don't know how many Met fans you got in your class, but the Met, they're doing well. They're back in first place. I get it. The Phillies have kind of fell off the cliff again. I don't know where the Phillies have gone, but maybe because they played the Rockies, they would look like superstars for a little bit.
Phillies are half game back of the Mets.
Yes, and I think after that Rocky series, they were up like 2 up on the Mets. Then all of a sudden, they stopped playing the Rockies and they started losing some games. Even though the Rockies just swept the Marlins out of nowhere, I think it was the first series win all year. Holy crap! Um, But yeah, Mets are looking all right. Soto's hitting a little better. Obviously, we expected it. It was almost hard for him to hit much worse. So he's hitting a little better. Lindor's kind of coming back to his second place and most valuable player kind of status as he was last year. Alonso is just kind of, he's in there. He's not as hot as he was at the beginning, but he's not slumping. The Mets are good. They are a solid team. They're a good team. Got some good pitching. Their bullpen is actually really good. Also, they got some really good arms in the bullpen. Um, and yeah, they're looking okay. They're in first place right now. They just still leaves a little bit to be desired with them, but they're playing good right now. They got to take advantage of their schedule. They got the Rockies again this weekend, so hopefully they sweep them, and then all of a sudden they're 4 up by the time it's over.
Gotcha. All right, Dan, I have a job for you before next week's podcast. I want you to do just a little bit of fantasy football homework. I
Ah,
want you to find the one person that is projected to go in the first round that you think is definitely the bust. Pick me one bust in the first round. That's it.
Saquon Barkley. Done. He's done. He's on Saquon. He's on the
No,
Madden cover.
no,
He's
he's
on the
not.
Madden jinx. I am the spoiler is out the window. We're not doing any type of whatever that we're not doing any type of like preview of the next podcast. He's on the Madden cover. It is over for Saquon. The number one overall consensus pick. Bust.
Danny,
Done.
Danny,
Done.
it's called a tease, Danny. It's called
Teaser, tease. Yes, that. No, we're not doing that. Their teases. Watch until the 35-minute mark. That's our tease. We should have blown it up in the first minute. Saquon Barkley, bust. As Tommy would say, you could take it to the bank.
yeah, we'll talk more about fantasy football going forward. I'll have some stuff ready for you next podcast. But it was a good podcast.
Yeah. Keep following us on X, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Keep those follows and likes coming. So until next time, I'm Danny. This is Neil. Signing off.